Hello. Okay. God, thank you for this beautiful day today. Would you please just help me to fix my eyes on you? Could you please make these mosquitoes go away, please? That would be nice. I don't know what else to say, God. I don't know what I'm talking about today, God. Would you just guide and direct me? Because I don't know what I'm doing. Hello, and welcome to the In the Midst of Everything podcast. I am Esther Brooks, and I don't know what I'm talking about today. I sat down today and was like, okay, I'm gonna pick a topic to talk about and do some thinking, do some writing down, and I asked God about it, and I got nothing. And last podcast was the same thing, where I didn't really have something specific that I was planning on talking about. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I like to have a plan, at least, a little bit. But there's nothing. I mean, technically, since, I'm trusting God right now, because I don't know what I'm talking about, I guess I could talk about trusting God and having faith, even though you don't know what's going on, and you feel like, okay, maybe I feel like maybe God is wanting me to do this, but I don't know. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna talk about that for now. Anyways, I don't know. I could talk about something else later. Well, for one thing, here I am, podcast. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't feel like God was wanting me to do it. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's not like he verbally told me hey, I want you to do this. This isn't an easy thing for me, so why in the world am I doing it? A podcast would be the last thing that I would ever think of doing, Because talking isn't necessarily just this natural thing. It just for me. So why would I come up with that? There's times where something comes into my mind and I'm like, where'd that come from? That wasn't in my mind. That I didn't think of that. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. If you're wondering why I don't have a cover on my Bible, it's because I've had this since 2009. Hey, look! August 30th. That was 2 days ago. I'm filming this on the 1st of September. That's cool. This is the cover. I've already glued it once. And as you can see, it didn't stay on. So, yeah. And also, it's kind of easy to, love that for me. I kind of bent the pages. I can, do this, where if I had the cardboard on it, I would not be able to do that. Alright. Back to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. I have it memorized, it's in my head, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any of the words, And there's just something about reading it off the page, opening your Bible and reading it. Some people don't actually have access to Bibles, so we shouldn't take that for granted. And we should open our Bibles and actually read it. Okay, let's see. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. That's a verse that came into my head when I was thinking about, trusting in God. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. it says, and lean not on your own understanding. Because, we have our own understanding and our own experiences in life and the way that we think about things and the way that we understand things and, the way that we see things, like physical things. We don't necessarily always see the spiritual things. Most of the time we don't see spiritual things. And so we can, a lot of times, think something is impossible when nothing is impossible with God. And so I can see, in my own understanding, in my situation of doing a podcast, I would be like, no, I can't do that. I don't speak well. Like, a lot of times I cannot figure out the right words to give a good visual of what I'm thinking. Like, I don't always have the words. Let's see, what else? I don't know everything. I don't feel adequate. I don't feel qualified. I can see in my own understanding, a podcast, me? Yeah, right, sure, Okay, here's another thing. I'm gonna assume it's in Exodus, since that's the story with Moses, somewhere in here. Here it is, Moses and the burning bush. Okay, so the story of Moses and the burning bush. I don't know what that was. So if you don't know the story, basically the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt because of going a whole bunch of years back. If I kept going back, I'd get all the way to Adam. I don't know how much to say. Do I just start with Moses and the burning bush and just don't add context to that? I don't know. Okay. I'll just give a small summary that doesn't have the whole context, but some of the context. There. A good in between, right? Okay, so basically, at this time, the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt, and Moses was brought up in the Egyptian palace, but he was actually an Israelite. And then he makes a mistake, and then he runs away. He kills somebody, an Egyptian. So yeah, there's that. Huh. Okay. Well, okay, so yeah, he runs away, and then he finds some people somewhere, and then he ends up getting married. And now, at this point, he is tending the flock of his father-in-law. And he came to a place called Horeb, the mountain of God. And there the angel of the Lord appeared to him in the flames of fire within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight. Why does the bush not burn up? When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Skipping down to verse 10, which I was in verse 8. I'm just skipping the last part of 8. And okay, whatever. Down to verse 10, it says, So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" And God said, "I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." Moses said to God, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you.' And they ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what shall I tell them?" God said to Moses, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites: 'I am has sent me to you.'" God also said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, 'The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you.' This is my name forever, the name by which I am remembered from generation to generation." All right. So now that we've read that, so God has just called Moses to go and free the Israelites from Egypt. And Moses says to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" And God's response to him is, "I will be with you." So Moses says, "Who am I to do this?" And God says, "I will be with you." He doesn't actually answer his question. Who is Moses? He doesn't answer that question. His response is, "I will be with you." It doesn't matter who Moses is. It matters who God is. And who is with Moses. And then Moses says, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you.' And they ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what shall I tell them?" And then God's answer to Moses is, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites: 'I am has sent me to you.'" So again, it doesn't matter who you are, it matters who God is and if he's with you. So I can be all focused and be like, who am I to do this? I can't do this. Be like, all this different stuff. But it's just like, okay, hold on. It doesn't matter who I am or what I can do. It matters who God is and what he wants me to do and whether he's with me. Which is always why I'm like, help me to focus my eyes on you, God, and not on myself or the things around me or the people around me. I want to fix my eyes on you because that's what matters. Because if that's not my priority, then what's the point? I can't do anything without him. I can, but it's just not it. It's just not it. It ain't it. So, we could stop there and be like, put that in a little bow. But then more stuff goes on, and this is what I do not want to do, and I hope nobody else does. But we can learn from people's mistakes, which is one of the reasons why this is so good, the Bible, as in. Because we can see these people's mistakes, and we can learn from them so that we don't repeat them. So, when we go ahead to Exodus chapter 4, verse 10. Moses said to the Lord, "Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." That sounds familiar. Then the Lord said to him, "Who gave man his mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." So Moses is like, I can't speak very well. How could I do this? Then God says to him, "Who gave people their mouths? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." I don't know if that really needs an explanation. It kind of says it right there. God is the one who gave us the ability to speak. But then, And again, we could stop right now and go, look at that. You should trust the Lord and do what He says. But there's more. It's But Moses said, "O Lord, please send someone else to do it." Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and He said, "What about your brother Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and his heart will be glad when he sees you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will help both of you and will teach you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth and as if you were God to him. But take this staff in your hand so that you can perform miraculous signs with it." Well, there's that. But Moses said, "O Lord, please someone else to do it." What did I just say? Blah. Let me do that over again. But Moses said, "O Lord, please send someone else to do it." I don't want to do that. I don't want to ask God to send somebody else. Yeah, that's the easy route. But I don't want to do that. Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses. And He said, "Well, what about your brother Aaron? We'll send him." I'm paraphrasing. "What about your brother Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and his heart will be glad when he sees you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will help both of you speak and will teach you what to do." I don't want to tell God to send somebody else because I'm too afraid. And I am focused on myself and thinking, I can't do this. Actually, in fact, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I just have to trust God when I'm gonna step out. Yeah, there's definitely times where I felt like I can't do... Actually, I feel this all the time. I keep feeling like this. I'm like, I can't do this. The sun's really come out. I'd rather slip walking on water than spend my life wondering what if. Lord, if it's you, tell me to come, 'cause you alone can tame the wildest waves. I know I can make it, 'cause it was your voice that I heard. So I'm stepping out on your word. This is how you walk on water, one foot in front of the other. Never gonna let you go under, just put one foot in front of the other. So that's a song that's inspired by this scripture, which is in Matthew chapter 14, starting in verse 22. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up to a mountainside by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by waves because the wind was against it. During the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and, beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him, and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak. And all who touched him were healed. So that would be another example in the Bible where it requires you to put your trust in Jesus and have faith. So the disciples see Jesus. Well, they don't really know that it's Jesus. They see something, a person, walking on water, and they're like, that's not possible. What's going on? Like, it must be a spirit or something. And that's not good, you know. But Jesus is like, hey, take courage. It's me. It's just me, you know. I don't know. I'm talking like that. And so Peter says, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." So that was like a very bold statement for Peter to say so, because it's not like Peter could walk on water. So you know what Jesus says? He says, "Okay, come on out." So Peter got out of the boat and he walked on the water and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and, beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Can definitely see that. Like, it's this constant thing for me. Like, especially, again, with the podcast, it's like, okay, let's do this, you know? But then I take my eyes off of God, and it's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't know everything. I don't know enough. I can't speak well. I can't get the words out of my mouth. And so then I'm like, okay, breathe, girl. And then we go like this. God, please help me to fix my eyes on you and nothing else. Help me not to be distracted by my own thoughts, my own fears. I want to be focused on you. Because what happens when Peter looks at the wind and the waves and becomes afraid? He takes his eyes off of Jesus and gets distracted, and then he starts to sink. But then Peter's like, "Lord, save me. I'm drowning. I'm drowning here." I can definitely feel like that a lot of times. I'm like, "Lord, Jesus, please help me. I'm drowning. I can't do this on my own." You know? And you know what Jesus did? Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You know, he was like, "Honey, you took your eyes off of me. It's your own fault. Now you're just gonna drown. Goodbye. See ya." No. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and grabbed him up out of the water and rescued him from his sinking. And Jesus said to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Towards the end of this verse, though, you can see more faith, which is kind of cool. When they got back into the boat and they crossed over the lake, they got to the land. People in the place recognized Jesus because they're like, "Look, it's Jesus. We know who this guy is. You know, we've heard that he can, like, perform miraculous signs and stuff, heal people and all this such." And so then they, like, went and, like, told a bunch of people in the surrounding country. And so people brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak. Like, they had that much faith that Jesus could actually heal them. Which is cool. And you know what happened? And all who touched him were healed. Well, that happened. I came out here and I ended up talking and reading a whole bunch from the Word of God, which is awesome. So I guess to sum that all up from what we read is to fix your eyes on God and not trust your own understanding, but trust Him. When we can only see so much, but God can do so much more than what we can see. And yet it's not easy to have faith, but you can practice it, even by just tiny little things. I ask God to help me to listen for His voice and discern His voice of whether that was my own thoughts or that was Him. And there have definitely been times where I get this feeling and it's like I think it and then I'm like, where did that come from? And then also like, that's not something that's like, oh yeah, totally easy, you just do that. Like it requires faith. Especially last year and this year, I've really been working with God on listening for His voice, discerning it. And you can still not be totally sure whether that was Him or not, but you can still step out to find out whether or not that was Him. And being okay with it not being His voice. Like if you think you heard His voice and you step out, but it wasn't actually His voice, He's still going to be pleased with you because you had faith. So a time where I had a thought in my mind and I was like, whoa, what was that? Why did that come in my mind? And I had the choice of either ignoring it or being like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to that. I'm gonna step out and find out. It was this summer. I was working real late and it was like 11 o'clock at night and I'd finished work and I was heading home and it was dark because it was 11 o'clock at night and it was pouring rain. And I was tired and hungry. So I was driving home and I was turning onto a road. And like as I'm turning, all of a sudden I kind of feel like you should keep going straight. But like I had already turned. And so then I just started driving like super slow and I'm like, I don't think I would have thought that. I want to go home. I want to eat something and go to sleep. Like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to turn around and keep going on that road. And, who knows where in the world it'll take me or how long it's going to take me to get home. So I don't think that was me. But I don't know. Maybe that was just a weird, tired thought for some strange reason, But I doubt it. So I'm like driving real slow and I'm like, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to do it. Even though I don't want to. I just want to go home. But I don't want to miss this. If God has something He wants to show me. And earlier that day, as I was at work cleaning, I was talking with God and just kind of struggling, feeling like, I'm like, what am I doing with my life, God? I don't understand. Is this what you want me to be doing still? Like, I want to practice listening for your voice and then stepping out to find out whether it was actually your voice and to have faith because I kind of struggle with that because I'm afraid of falling. And so back to what I was saying. So I could get this thought in my mind and like, yeah, I don't really think that was me because I just want to go home. So I'm going to turn around. So I turn around and I get back onto that road and start driving. And I end up spending a whole hour just driving around in the dark and in the pouring rain. And I'm like, I'm going to end up home somehow. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to. I'm trusting God. But like, I want to be super focused. I don't want to be focused on going home. I want to be super focused right here, right now, and listening for his voice. So like, I would be driving and I'd be going along nice and easy. I'm not going fast. And then I'd come up to a road or a turn or whatnot. And then I would ask God, God, do you want me to turn here? Or do you want me to stay on this road? And it was very much like you're walking through life. You're not in a hurry. You're just walking with him. And then an opportunity comes up. And then you take time to go, okay, God, do you want me to do this? Or do you want me to keep doing what I'm doing? And even if you say no to that, and you kind of still feel like, like it's still in my mind. And yes, it can still be on your mind because you're afraid that you missed out on something. But like, if you have this like peace about it, and it's just like, and it can be different for everyone, you know, it takes practice, and it takes time, and it takes being quiet and listening. But like, then there were times when I would pass a road and I would be like, I'm still thinking about it. And I don't have I have peace, but then it's just like, it's still in my mind. And so then I'm asking God again, God, did you want me to turn on that road? And sometimes it would be like, nope, I wasn't supposed to turn on that road. Or, I think I should. So then I turn around and I go back on that road. And then at one point, I didn't know where I was. Like, it's dark, and sometimes it's hard to recognize places, and like, it was really back in somewhere, you know? And so there was a point where like, I was like, I have no idea where I am. So like, I'm literally lost. I don't know where I am. But God's gonna get me home somehow. I'm going to end up home. I'm not gonna be lost forever. So literally, like, I don't know where I am. I can't see the outcome. And God's not giving me this whole map of where I'm going. But like, when I come up to something, I'm asking him, God, do you want me to turn here? Or do you want me to stay here? And I felt like I was watching my life. I'm going through life, and I'm not in a hurry, because I wasn't going very fast. I wasn't thinking about, I want to go home, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I want to go to bed. I was in the moment, and I had my eyes fixed on God, and I was listening. And I don't know, like, with the culture, it's just like, it starts so young. I mean, like, even with kids, you know, little kids, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? How in the world should they know? They don't need to be thinking about that. They don't need to worry about that. And then as you keep going, especially in high school, and then like you start like getting up in the higher grades, like junior and senior, probably even sophomore, and you know, even freshman even. You have to figure out what you're going to go to college for. Then go off to college to do something that you're going to quote unquote do for the rest of your entire life. Like, we just go so fast, and that's just the expectation, and it's just the normal thing to do. Or like, you hear people going, what's your 5-year plan? Walk with God? I don't know. He didn't tell me that. So that's all I got. Because I just felt so feeling like I need to know what I'm doing, and you know, I didn't do the normal thing that people do. I didn't go to college, and I'm working at a job that's not, people wouldn't look at it and go, wow, that's a successful person. I'm just working at this job till I feel like God's calling me somewhere else, and I'm working at it to the best of my ability. And I love what I'm doing. I love what I do. So back to when I was driving. And then, At one point, there was a car behind me, which is a bit funky because I'm like in the middle of nowhere. And it's probably at this point, it's probably around like 11:30 already at night. And so like that was just definitely like, interesting. But like it felt like, okay, are you gonna still be listening and focusing your eyes on God and listening for his voice and then doing something that maybe looks a bit funky if there's people watching you? And actually, even more so, the point where the car was behind me was the point where I didn't know where I was anymore. And so that just adds even more of like, you feel like you're blind. You have no idea what's going on, but you feel this feeling that you should be doing something. And there's people watching you. And you feel kind of crazy. Are you going to still trust him? Are you going to still have faith and keep focusing your eyes on God and trusting him? And then finally, like the car goes a different direction that I go. And I still have no idea where I am. And then all of a sudden I pass somewhere and I'm like, wait, I know where I am now. And I just keep going and then I end up on the same road that I started on. So yeah, that was a really cool thing that God did with me. And if I would have chose to ignore that thought of turning around and going back on that road, that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have been able to experience that cool thing with God that he was wanting to show me, that he was wanting to encourage me with. Another thing that I ask him is for him to help me to be interruptible. Because us people, we're selfish and we think about ourselves most of the time. And we're in such a hurry to do the things that we do so that we can live and make money and, whatnot. And so being interrupted is not a very comfortable thing for us. Like it can be kind of annoying sometimes, And so I love asking God, God, would you help me to be interruptible? Because that driving around took me a whole hour, but it was worth it. I didn't regret it. Stepping out in faith, you will not regret it. I would encourage you to ask God to help you listen for his voice, to help you be still and quiet, help you discern his voice, and then step out to find out whether that was him. Because yeah, you can have a comfortable... I really don't want you to, because it's just... Don't be comfortable, okay? It's so worth it to not be comfortable. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is uncomfortable, but it's so worth it to be uncomfortable. You will experience such cool things when you listen for his voice. You hear his voice. You discern it. Go, God, was this you or was it just my own thoughts? And then you step out. So I guess I'm just going to pray over you guys and then we'll finish the episode then. God, thank you for this beautiful day today. God, I pray for whoever is listening right now. I pray that you would give them boldness and help them to be still and quiet and to listen for your voice and to ask you, God, was that your voice or was it my own thoughts? Would you give them faith to be able to step out, to find out whether it was your voice, and to trust you, even when everything is telling them not to, when their circumstances look hopeless, when it looks absolutely impossible. God, help them to trust you. And in Jesus' name I say, amen. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this was encouraging. I'm just stepping out in faith. So, goodbye. What was that? There's an owl. It's a brown owl. It flew to the ground and then it flew up into a tree. Well, that's cool.